This is Andrew Stotts of A. Stotts Investment Research, and I want to welcome you to the Valuation Masterclass. For this class, my goal is for you to become a valuation master. This class is not about theory, and it's not about creating a dividend discount model or something like that. It's about operating within a framework and learning how to value companies within that framework. Many companies, the more that you do, the more that you will learn. My promise to you is as you go through this course, you're going to get exposure to more and more and more companies and understand the many different issues that you're going to face in valuation. When you finish this class, you will be a valuation master. So let's get started, and I'm going to talk to you about the framework with which you will operate in while you're in this class. This framework is a framework that I've developed over the last 22 years, and this framework is how I think about valuation for every single company in the world. Now I'm going to make it simple for the beginning, and let's just look at the number of sheets. As you can see where I'm clicking here, we have a sheet called FS, we have a sheet called Forecast, one called Life Force, one called Discount Val, Multiple Val as in valuation, discount valuation, multiple valuation, Output 1, which we call Out 1, Main Assumptions, and then we have New, which is just areas where you could do your own work on that company. You may build a future revenue model or something like that. This is your working area in these. So now I'm going to go back over to the FS sheet. And the first thing that you need to do within Excel, which you have already probably gotten instructions, but within Excel, you want to make sure you go to the Trust Center. And here you have the macro settings, and enable all macros is one that you want to do. And now, so let's take a look at this. What this FS sheet is, we call this the financial statement sheet, which we call FS. This is the raw data. Now you're going to see that it's you can't even see it, right? Because I've made it so small so that I can explain it to you first. Now, first of all, what you're going to see is the gray areas is an input area. Now, actually, this is a sheet that you'll almost never have to touch. So all I want to do is explain to you what this sheet is. In this sheet, we are bringing in the information for the past quarters, the past years and the past quarters. Now, we have a database that allows us to populate this data for any company in the world. And so this is where we pull in the raw data. Now, once the raw data is pulled in here, then we bring that data into the forecast sheet. Now, let's see if I can make this just a little bit bigger. Okay, now the forecast sheet, again, I'm not showing you the detail yet, so don't worry about that. But the forecast sheet has sections. If I highlight, for instance, the rows here, we can look all down here to see there's no gray areas. This is all the output. If it's no gray areas, we never mix up the input with the output. So this would be the P&L, the balance sheet, the cash flow statement, those types of things, which are all an output. Now at the bottom, you're going to see, here's the magic right here, and that is the forecast section. There's about 45 or so forecast variables per year that you must fill in order to get a complete forecast. Of course, if we wanted to make a really simple model, we would only need maybe sales forecast and net profit margin, but we need a complete model. So this would be your working area down here, and this up above would be the area where the output of that comes. Now, if we look at that FS sheet, that is the historic data information, and that is automatically pulled into this section. And then from that, you then create the forecast in this section by filling in these gray cells. Now, as a guide, we oftentimes want to see what is the quarterly results of this company recently. And these columns right here provide you with that. There's no gray areas because you don't need to forecast or fill in anything because we do annual forecasts. But it gives you a guide. And this area right here is a summary of the profit so far per year. And then this chart is going to show you what your forecast looks like on a graph. Now, we'll continue on and then we'll come back to this. At some point when you're done with your forecast, what's going to happen is it's going to make these types of charts. So this life force page is not one that you need to worry about too much because this is an output page. In fact, we could probably move it all the way down there, let's say. But now, the next thing about, and the hardest part about valuation is doing a dividend discount model, a free cash flow model, that type of thing. Well, here it all is right on this page. And it doesn't take much. In fact, what you can see from this is that all you have to do is fill in the gray areas. So now let's just look at, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. But remember, you're not seeing the numbers yet because I'm not going to show you that yet. I just want to show you the concept. So what you can see from this is how much gray is there? Well, the gray is only in this box right here. And this box is where, or these two boxes is where you make all of your assumptions. And truthfully, there's not that many assumptions. Now here's where the cash flow data comes out of your model. That cash flow data comes out right in that section, and then other assumptions that you make. But from here down, there are no assumptions. The assumptions are all either in the forecast sheet or up here where you fill in some basic information. So the point is that you don't have to worry too much. In fact, if you can get your forecast right, you've gotten about 70% of it right. The rest of the valuation is done here. Now let's move on to the multiple valuation. What you can see here is this is a very small sheet because multiple valuation is pretty simple. Now, the company that you're doing, whatever country it's in, is automatically going to come here, right? You can see country. But if you decided that you wanted to compare it against a similar companies in other markets or in the developed world or in the emerging world, it's all right here by click down menus. Also, this company we can say is in the consumer discretionary sector or sector. And what we could do is if we decided we wanted to look at the real estate sector and compare this company to a real estate company, we could do that by clicking here. And also we can do any regional valuation of this consumer discretionary. So the comparison here is just across the overall country, and this is looking at the sector and the sector within that country. So the end result of that is we get a PE and a price to book table right here. Now, let's go to the next one, which is the output section. This is my favorite one for assessing my forecasts. As you see, there's zero input areas. It's all output. And I've created a simple P&L, balance sheet, cash flow, and ratios, and free cash flow and other things below. This is where I go to look at your work. I don't mess around in these sheets. I go straight to this one to understand your forecast. So I'd suggest that once you think you're done with your forecasts, jump to the output one file and review it here. And you may see something strange that you want to change in your forecast. Now, let's move on to the next one, which is called main assumptions. And if we want to, we can look here to see assumptions, simple and main assumptions related to free cash flow, and the main assumptions that you have related to the multiples in this section right here. And you can get everything you need from there for the basics. Now, the final section in this is the sensitivity. Sensitivity allows you to imagine that something changed, such as, let's say that revenue forecast is higher than you thought or lower than you thought. How would that impact the value of this business? This is where you do that sensitivity analysis. So that is a summary of the layout of the model. Next thing I'm going to do is go into more detail in the next video. So again, welcome to the course, and it is time to start becoming a valuation master.